Well, hello. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
Excellent.
Thank you for joining me on this.
Of course.
Yeah, so obviously you're okay with being recorded.
Yeah.
We've been doing some fun podcasts lately, trying to get an opportunity to kind of share with some of the other business partners, people that I work with, an opportunity to kind of share their business and bounce some questions back and forth, see how we can maybe tie together if possible, and how we can support each other. So I appreciate you joining us. Try to keep this to about 30 minutes or less if possible, and kind of go from there. So if you don't mind, we'll start with who are you? What do you do, and who do you do it for?
Okay, perfect. So thanks for having me. I think this
Huh?
is an excellent platform to learn about businesses. I'm Faith Roberts. I'm the owner of M&M Lighting, and we're an electrical contracting firm that specializes on helping businesses save money through energy efficient lighting. So our goal is to improve the quality of the light in your space while
Okay.
reducing overhead costs. And Christopher, I'm sorry, there you go. Now you're moving. Okay, so we
Yeah.
primarily focus on commercial clients, small to medium sized businesses,
Okay.
schools we work with as well, and churches.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Purely commercial.
purely commercial.
No
Oh,
residential at all.
so we do residential based on referral when our commercial clients
Okay.
have some residential work, but we don't actively seek out a residential
Got
scope.
it. Okay. That's
Yeah,
awesome. And you've been doing this for how long?
almost 10 years now. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And is it LED? I mean, I don't know much about lighting in commercial. Is it everything gone to LED? Is there something newer and greater? Is the old fashioned still out there? Like what's going on in
So
your space?
so in our space, what we're saying is there's nothing greater than LED. LED is the kind of the finite technology that exists. There's improvements
Okay.
that have made to make it more efficient, meaning it uses less wattage and just still produces the great quality lumens.
Okay.
However, you said it, there is still the old stuff out there. And it's funny because the old stuff now probably costs, with maintenance and materials and labor and all that, probably 5 times more than LED, where
Wow.
previously people were afraid to go LED because the cost was so high.
Okay.
But what we're seeing now is the fluorescence and older parking lot metal halide technology is 5 times the cost.
No kidding.
Parts are becoming scarce to come by, so that's
Mm,
also throttling people's availability, obviously, but increasing the price.
right.
We have a lot of territories in California, well, actually, the whole state of California. A lot of states around us are doing what's called a fluorescent ban.
Oh,
So, what you'll see, and in today's day and age where you can really shop from anywhere because of the power of online shopping, you're going to start to see our market in Arizona get impacted by those neighboring states and their fluorescent bans because they can't get that material anymore. They're not supposed to use it. So if somebody needs something, they can tap into our area, meaning they can shop online and somebody from Arizona can ship it
oh
to
wow.
them.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you'll start to see even more of an issue. We walked, 2 charter school districts recently, and they're paying so much money for these parts, and
Really.
they're unable to get them. So it's impacting the learning environments. Yeah. So lighting goes a long way. People don't realize when you turn on your light switch, yes, your lights are working, but I always say, are they working for you?
Ooh, there we go.
Yep.
I like it. And you said you've been doing this for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know we know each other through Accelerant, the
Correct.
business development platform, not a networking group. It's a business development platform for Scott, of course. How did you come into Accelerant?
So we actually, as part of our energy efficiency projects, we oftentimes couple in HVAC because HVAC can
Okay.
help
Mm,
lower utility costs for a customer.
sure.
So we were introduced by 365 Mechanical, who's the
Okay.
HVAC partner in
Yeah.
Accelerant.
Is that
Yeah,
Dijon?
Demir.
Demir. Sorry, of
Demir.
course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
He's
So
awesome.
he's
Okay.
we've known him for a few years before Accelerant introduced us,
Okay.
because really our end customer is similar.
Got it. All
Yeah.
right. So with again, not knowing much about your space,
Mhm.
are there energy efficient tax breaks? Are they out there still? Were they
Yeah.
ever out there? Are they phasing out? Where are we at this point in with regard to that?
So energy efficiency utility incentives are in existence all the time through in Arizona specifically APS, TEP, and SRP. So
Okay.
they all incentivize going to energy efficient measures through HVAC and through lighting.
Okay.
And the reason for that, quite simply, is we as consumers are putting a huge demand on these grids and we need to lower the consumption. So lighting and HVAC being the primary commercial ways we can impact that.
Right.
And then there's also a federal tax incentive. It's section 179D of the tax code. Not to
Appreciation.
get
Okay.
exactly, not to get too detailed, but yeah, depreciation. So there are certain ways that you can take an accelerated depreciation on your energy efficient measures as you make your building more energy efficient.
Okay.
And you can, it's, I believe, up to $5.80 a square foot per square foot for your building. So you can take that as a tax deduction when you make your building more energy efficient.
Very interesting. So the big beautiful bill I know had the 179 deduction, a full 100% first year in an effort to try to, does that fall under there? So people
Yes, same.
can,
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, same section of the tax code. Year over year, it's always like diminished. They've changed it to where you can only, they're only allowing, a cap, an X amount of percentage deduction. But now like you just said, it's heavily encouraged.
Front loaded.
To take it, and front loaded to take advantage of those incentives.
That's awesome. So how do you guys market yourselves?
So we go through the utility company to target small businesses. And what I mean by that is SRP has a great incentive program for small businesses. Now, they determine small business based off of energy usage. So, for example, the only reason why I share that is we have some business owners that own small businesses, but the way they're metered with the utility, it's kind of unique. But so it's all dependent on SRP's qualification. But the great incentive is that they'll help pay for up to 75% of these energy efficiency projects.
Wow.
Which is a drop in the bucket when you look at the facts and figures.
Sure.
So we use that as our go-to-market strategy for small businesses, just helping educate them. A lot of times we get feedback that, well, this is too good to be true. Why is this, offer in existence? And really, in fact, we as commercial companies and businesses that are end users, we pay into these programs. This is actually funded by us. So you're just kind of taking advantage of that. So that's our go-to-market strategy for small businesses. For larger projects, for schools, for example, we have procurement approval. So schools have a very strict purchase policy. So we are a contractor under the Mojave procurement model. And they have pre-vetted our pricing, and we've positioned competitive pricing for schools to help them upgrade their spaces while saving money. So we use the Mojave member list to do some outreach to customers. Of course, social media as much as possible, getting out there. Yep. And really, I think the best thing that helps people understand what we do is a great before and after. So when they see what lighting was and to what we converted it over to, really makes a huge impact.
And what you're saving the business owner.
And actually, we found recently, we lead with savings, and we educate people like, hey, in simplest terms, you're going from this many wattage to this many. But at the end of it, they're like more allured by the fact that we've improved the aesthetic of their space.
Really?
Yeah, we had a retail facility that we did, just a small little mom and pop shop in Gilbert, and she, the business owner, that is like a resale for children's items. So she'll take in items, she'll have to inspect them, and then price them out, almost like on consignment. So, just their area alone where they were doing inspections was so underlit. So once we turned the lights, or we changed the lights, I should say, on over their heads, they were like, oh my gosh. We couldn't even see there was damage to clothing or whatever. And so the little things.
Well, but it's a little thing, but it's a big thing, especially when you're trying to get top dollar for it on the resale side, for which, and you realize what it looks like in the, in the bright sunlight, as opposed to how you're analyzing it in there. Any other good stories, any other good clients that would be a good example of what you guys do?
Yeah, so we had a great partnership with Courier Graphics, which is a graphic production facility in Phoenix. And Courier Graphics had reached out to us through SRP's program not small business, but they have another program. And they invited us to take a look at their space. And we were told that we were probably the third or fourth contractor that went to their space. The other contractors pretty much said, hey, you know what? We're not going to touch this. And the reason why was because their machinery, it's a huge production facility, is really difficult to navigate around to do a lighting project.
Okay.
So they were looking at what was proposed to them was probably like a 4 to 5 month long project.
Wow.
Well, when we went in there, we said, okay, look, this is a good challenge for us. This is what we want to do. So their lighting was terrible. I couldn't believe that they were working under that and still producing graphic design level.
Right.
So we were able to go in, we redesigned their lighting layout. We were able to put in new fixtures, and we never took them offline. We were able to finish that project in under 45 days. Never took them offline, so they were still able to operate business as usual. None of their equipment was impacted. And so we gave them, of course, large energy savings, but the biggest priority for them was we cannot stop work.
Right.
So that was a little feather in our cap that what people proposed, 4 months for, we were able to get done in a month and some change. Well,
so go a little deeper on that. Tell me, how were you guys able to do that where everybody else was just kind of, didn't feel like they could get it done?
Well, so we're extremely flexible. Oftentimes you'll come across contractors that, they're very rigid in, if it's night work, there's a surcharge, if there's weekend work. And so, but one of our values is do it right the first time. So our goal is to get into the business and out like we were never there. We don't want to make an impact. So we were extremely flexible, worked well with the team on site to coordinate, for example, you're talking rows and rows of lighting. And in my head, we want to go finish this row, right, to move on. Well, you can't do that because you're going to have to go, there's a piece of equipment there that you have to figure out. So we're extremely flexible. We worked well with the facility management team to build a plan for how we were going to approach it. And then, like I said, just shifting the schedule. So if we needed to be there after hours, or, this machine really isn't used on Tuesdays, we just kind of worked with the flow and actually made us work faster versus just a standard, hey, we're here 9 to 5 or whatever.
Right.
And
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's an exciting project. Like you said, a feather in your cap to go, okay, listen, we were willing to be a little bit more flexible. The client needed us to be more flexible. It was a win-win for everybody for us to get in there. They needed it done. It's what we do. And we could kind of showcase how we can get in and help everybody out. That's awesome. Good for you.
Thank you. And then Tucson Unified School District is another large project. Tucson's unique in the sense that the utility company has a great program out there to help pay for the school's projects. Okay. They actually pay for the total project.
Wow.
So schools aren't going to do that. It's very, very great out there because they realize that these schools are not just utilized for education. Nowadays, schools are rented out for events, for sports. All their demand is huge. So we have to make sure we're making them more energy efficient. So we did the Tucson Unified School District in partnership with their energy manager out in their district. And we have to do energy evaluations for all the sites, meaning we do a thorough room by room inspection to say,
oh my gosh,
to build the scope of work and to show them this is how many, kilowatts we're using. This is what you're going to. So we build all of that. So step one was walking all of the schools. Step two was submitting all that information over to the utility to say, this is how much the project's going to cost, getting the approvals, then implementing installation, and then the post, making sure the project's signed off on by the customer. So we really just walked all the sites all over again. So we were able to do that entire school district's project. We did that, and I want to say probably 8 months, and that's over 50 sites. Yeah. So great success stories. And I say this, and not at the compromise of workmanship, right? We're not just blowing through a facility and hoping it works out. Sure. We're just very strategic in our approach on contracting. Because like I said, we were doing, for example, elementary schools in like 3 days. Teachers were coming in and they were like, whoa, what changed in here? Did we paint? And it's like, no, your lights are just turning on the way that they should be. So That's what we want. We want you to leave work one day, come in the next, and really say, "Wow, when did this happen?"
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great
Appreciate it.
prize. What's on the horizon for you guys? What are you looking at? Are you guys do you handle things like TSMC and I mean all the technology companies that are coming into town? Is that something you guys are targeting, or is that
So
maybe outside of your scope?
new construction's out of our scope.
Okay.
So TSMC and a lot of the newer facilities are not in our wheelhouse because we just kind of stay away from that. Not because it's the same thing. It's
Okay.
new construction is not in our scope.
Got it.
But for realistically, there's still a lot of inefficient spaces. Our target going forward is going to probably be property managers and
Oh,
exterior lighting.
okay.
When you're shopping around, you'll see these, you never pay attention to it until you actually look at it. But you see these big honking pole lights above, these parking lot heads, and
Sure.
they're using 4 times the amount of energy. So these
Wow.
properties, depending on how those leases are structured, these costs are getting passed on to the tenants, right?
Sure.
So in order to not only make them more competitive with pricing, but
Uh-huh.
also to give them some competitive edge. Hey, it looks better over
Right.
here. Your patrons are going to enjoy shopping. They're going to feel
Exactly. It's
safer.
safer, right? Yeah, all those things. That's
Yep.
got you think about, I mean, all the hotels and I
Mm-hmm.
mean the amount of parking lot square footage that's being illuminated probably inefficiently that's out there for you guys would probably be decades worth of work. Um,
Yeah, we just did a project with Embassy Suites in Scottsdale,
okay.
and we did their parking lot lights. So exactly, so they were extremely underlit. It was just burnt out in the back. And
Wow.
then when we did that, we also did their sign. So their sign was not illuminated, so we did that for
Oh,
them. But when we did that, they were like, "Hey, what else can you do, or who else do you know?" So we brought in Spotlight Signs, which is a fellow Accelerant member,
okay.
and they were operating with a restaurant within the hotel itself. The sign was a different name, so the restaurant had changed over, but they never were able to change the sign. So after we made the lighting improvement, and they were like, "Hey, let's change the signs. Let's do this." So
Finally, yeah.
we and our slogan is "Bring things to light." So we always kind of find a cascade of things like, "Hey, once we turn the lights on, oh, we got to change the sign. Oh, we got to
Right.
paint." So
Oh, yeah, that's a great point, right? Now you can see just like the clothes. Now you can see all the blemishes and I
exactly.
know my wife and I, we're working on a remodel and it's like pulling the thread on a sweater. Well, if we're going to do this, then we got to do this. And then, before you know it, it's a much bigger project than you planned on, but it always works out better in the end. And,
Yes.
for some of these older buildings like the Embassy Suites, is this the one down on Chaparral and Scottsdale Road?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
of course. I mean, that's been there forever. And I've been there
Yeah.
probably 50 times for different corporate events and, seminars and, dinners and that kind of thing. So good for you for freshening that up. I'm sure it looks in that back area where they have the conference center
Exactly.
is a little dark. So yeah, I will pay attention next time I'm over there. The uh,
Yeah.
the Arizona Association of Mortgage Professionals. We have our quarterly meetings over there, and it's
Oh,
always in the
interesting.
morning. Yeah, it's always in the morning, kind of through lunch, that kind of thing. So, but I will make note and brag that I know the person who replaced all these lights for you guys next time.
We
So,
did their tennis court too, which is kind of unique because you're like,
oh,
oh, the tennis court, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, those were horrific lights and they were just dealing with them. And so we
wow,
changed those out to LED as well. So
okay.
yeah, great
So
space. Like you said, it's huge back there.
right. Yeah. And
Mhm.
I've been to huge events that they've been able to host back there because of the space. And yeah. And sometimes you roll in and you're thinking, we need to get out of here before it gets too much darker. Now it's a safe area generally, but I could definitely think my wife would not be in a hurry to stick around too long if she was back there by herself and, trying to get to the car kind of thing. So that's awesome. Safety is such an important deal. With all of this, that's great. So completely, well, not off topic necessarily, but I think of these, the big lights that are in the parking lots, and especially in the summertime around here, you see all the bugs, kind of flying around the moss, all of that. Is that the same with the LED? Is there sometimes you see the yellow lights in an attempt to maybe keep the bugs down or whatever? Um, is it the same? This is a
It's the
stupid
same. The
question.
bugs are the same.
Uh,
However, yeah, it's the same.
okay.
There are technologies like, for example, you just made me think of grocery stores. In grocery stores, LED helps minimize the amount of bacteria that's
Oh,
generated above the produce.
is that right?
Yeah, so that there is a difference on,
Okay.
but realistically,
Yeah.
outside's
Moss get
outside.
attracted to
Yeah.
light. It is what it is. There you go.
The one thing I will say about LED, and it's like an inadvertent security feature, is so there are controls now. For example, let's just say there's a 100-watt pole head. Well, you can have an occupancy sensor, which is usually you think of for inside, but the occupancy sensor what does like almost like a daylight harvesting. So it dims the fixture down when nobody's in the area
Okay.
to about, let's just say 60 watts, and we program this. So it's a 100-watt head. It's only operating at 60 watts, so it's adding additional energy savings.
Right.
And then the minute that somebody occupies a space, be it a vehicle, a pedestrian, right, it illuminates back up to 100%, which is
Okay.
that 100 watts. We had that installed down in Tucson, where at the schools where they actually have a homeless issue.
Okay.
They'll come in after hours. So, and when I say inadvertently, we created this safety mechanism for them. When you walk in and the light turns on,
Yeah.
it's almost like, oh, I shouldn't be here. Someone's
Right.
aware that I'm here.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Wow.
same thing for, you think of parking lots, shopping plazas, right? Like, oh, I shouldn't be here. This light just really got brighter here.
Yeah. Now there's a spotlight on me all of a sudden, and I probably should move
Exactly.
on, kind of thing. That's
Yep.
great. The My wife and I both went to NAU up in Flagstaff, and my two of my three kids went to school up there as well, and they are a dark city. Do you guys work with some of that, or how does that work into what you guys do?
Yes. So Tucson's actually the same. Night sky
Oh,
compliance, dark sky
okay.
compliance. You have to have specific fixture types in those areas so that the light doesn't pollute the sky.
Okay.
So that is one, and then also it has to be a specific temperature. So it has to be 3,000 Kelvin. You can't get in there with the ultra white, 5K, 6K
Right.
lighting that you'll see, in Phoenix.
Too often.
So
Yeah.
that's a compliance. And then also there are certain lumens that you need to keep in a space, so you can't overlight it.
Okay.
But yes, we're
Interesting.
very familiar with those requirements.
Interesting. We lived in Tucson for just a couple of years, and
Yeah.
it's been with and I guess like in Flagstaff, they've got the telescopes down there, and up
Mm-hmm.
on top of Mount Lemmon, and of course at in Flagstaff, it's up on Mars Hill, up in
Yep.
there, and you love how dark it is. We would love to go up in the summertime and enjoy, some cooler weather, and then drive up to Mars Hill and check out all the stuff and it is amazing not only how dark it is, but how bright the sky is. Like what you can
Yes.
see on a clear night in Flagstaff or Tucson versus what you can see in the Phoenix metropolitan area, it's completely different. It's amazing. So,
Well, so we actually live out in, well, my address is Mesa, but it's Queen Creek. We're far out.
okay.
And so we're like in the middle of an open area. And it's so funny because when we moved out here, I said to my husband, oh my gosh, do you see, like, that is so crazy because there's nothing around us.
Right.
Nothing's illuminated, but yes, very similar
Yeah.
to, the things you, kind of take for granted. You don't really realize. And, I'm not saying that it's not nice to have the hustle and bustle of the city, but it is nice to see
Nice to get
that night
away.
sky.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's something very, you know, um, reality setting, about looking up and just seeing the sky and the all the with the Starlink. My wife and I were sitting out maybe a couple of years ago. We looked up and we're like, "What on earth is that?" And you could just see just a
Yes.
stream of the Starlink satellites going across the sky, one after the next on this perfectly like straight line. And most of the time you can't see that. So
Yep.
that's very cool. How many employees do you guys have? How big of a team?
So we work with subcontractors primarily. So
Okay.
we have a main crew that we have that's 4 people, and then we
Okay.
have if we needed more, we can always onboard more. But and then we have a team of 3 for our ops team that
Got
handles
it.
our scheduling and.
Okay, so that's pretty typical for your industry is to subcontract out, whether you're going down to Tucson or whether you're in Flagstaff or anywhere around town. You got your core group, and then it's a matter of people that you trust to bring in and
Correct.
Got
Yep.
it.
And we're also a licensed general contractor. We're not building or remodeling anything. The only reason why is because, as I mentioned before, when we turn the lights on, people are like, what else can you help us with? So we
Okay.
help position our partners in for, like I said, painting, flooring, roofing. So
Okay.
we sub all of that out as well. So we have
Got
key,
it.
mostly through Accelerant members that we utilize for those projects because we have found that contracting can be done right. And sometimes people associate contracting with horror stories. And, you have these experiences where you don't know what's going on. And
Right.
our goal is to eliminate that. So when we find trusted partners, we subcontract that work out and they're delivering the same expectation that we are and operating under the same standard. And that's the greatness of it.
I love that. No, good for you guys to reach out a little bit, but also realize that that's something you can help control and maintain the relationships and kind of expand on. That's very cool. Well, that's awesome. Not to wind things down here. What anything else that you'd like to share with us before I let you go?
I'll end with this from a lighting perspective. Like I said before, just because your lights are working doesn't mean they're working for you. And I make a comparison to the cell phone, right? So when your cell phone goes out, you don't go to the store and get the iPhone 5, you get the iPhone 18 or whatever number we're on, right?
Right.
So instead of continuously buying older technology, give us an opportunity to come out and do an energy evaluation. It's totally free. We just want to arm you with the knowledge to show you that you could be saving more instead of spending more.
I love that. I love it. That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on this. And I will look forward to seeing you at the next Accelerant event, if not something sooner. But how'd the breakfast go for you last week?
It was great. I was telling Dan, it was so nice to be in that venue. I think it was really, really a step up, and seeing that room totally full when we were having the actual breakfast at the tables. It was really incredible. So I loved the expo. It was very nice.
Good, good. We're looking forward to the next one in November. I think the invites are just rolling out here. So yes, if I'm sure I will see you before then, but if not, we'll see you at the expo and at the breakfast. And again, Faith, thanks for joining us on this, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate it. Have a great one.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.